What's interesting is I never actually even saw the 9/11 footage for like probably a year afterwards because we didn't have TV. We just had the radio, stuff like that. But what I mean when I say I experienced it differently is I knew people that were there. I knew family. I knew friends. One of my best friend's dad was in like the 80 something floor of the second building. Way too many coincidences for it to be a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
it's gross.
It's
gross. And if you don't believe us, just start doing some research. Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
But
Good luck. Like he said, there's two things that I've learned in 2024. And the first thing, and this coming from this guy, like, was unreal. It was a shock to my system. He said, the first thing I've learned is no amount of money can buy time, which we've heard that before, right? But hearing it from this guy, bro, was like,
it hits different.
This guy has money, dude.
Yeah.
This guy has money. The thing I think gets us closer to being in that position and able to receive the calling is when instead of chasing things like money, instead of chasing things like what we would consider success, we chase fulfillment. The law of the harvest is a universal law.
Yep.
If you give, you will receive, and you will receive tenfold. It may not happen right away. It may happen a long time after, but that's a reality. If there's no other manifestation of the power of Jesus in my life and God and like true divine calling, I don't know what it is.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God.
Boom. What's up, you guys? Welcome to the Man of Peace podcast. Here we are again, man. I've got an awesome guest, Ian Wendt. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's an honor. I love your gear, Patriot Gear.
Yeah,
bro. This is like one of my. I mean, this one shirt right here is like, this has got to be like the flagship shirt. It's like the best thing in the world,
man. That one and this one. This is the OG, but that one came right after it, the blackout. So
yeah, bro. When you get
you've been rocking that for a long time, bro.
I have
what 3.5 years.
Yeah, man, 100%, dude. And this is the one. This is the first one you sent me, bro. Like it's still holding up there, bro. So thank you. I love what you're doing, and I love that it's kind of it's a movement. I love the direction the country's going in. I feel like that's probably put some wind beneath your wings, hopefully, with this whole thing. But just for everyone who's listening, kind of give us a little overview on you, who you are, and what you do.
So I will, I've tried not to like spend all the time when I do these shows talking about my story and stuff, just because it's already out there so much. Like if you just go on my social media, if you Google my name, you'll find tons of stuff that talks about like what happened. I'll give you the brief rundown, but then, we can get into it. But like, long story short, man, I was in sales and marketing for over a decade. At the height when the pandemic hit, I was the marketing officer, the CMO for a sales company. I was running all their sales training. I was running all their marketing efforts, everything. And I've always been kind of a closet conspiracy theorist, growing up in New York. Like I experienced 9/11 different than I think other people did. And it inevitably led to me digging and, but that was something that I didn't really talk about with people. Like it wasn't really like a topic of conversation. Like my closest friends and family knew that it was just kind of this weird thing about me, that I was a history buff and a conspiracy theorist, but like, it wasn't really something that was like mainstream,
Yeah.
And then when the riots started going down, I really I knew what was going on, and I realized that not a lot of people did. And I was like, I gotta say something. Like, this is manufactured. This is setting up the next 4 years of garbage. Like I knew what it was, and I called it out for what it was. And even though a lot of people thought I was crazy, look where we are, right?
Here we are, right?
So I, like a lot of other people, just decided to get loud about things, tell people what was going on, and then my following went from, I think I had 10,000-12,000 followers or something like that. Like I built a pretty decent following in the business world, but not anything crazy. It just exploded, dude. And I realized a lot of people had no idea what was going on, and then I realized that there was a lot of things people didn't know, and so I was like, what else don't they know? So I started making these like documentary style highlights on my Instagram about all these different things, Northwoods, JFK, MK Ultra, like all the crazy stuff, right? It's what you watch probably.
Yeah, I loved
it. Dude. And it got to a point where people were actually, my following exploded, bro. And it got to a point where people were actually watching these highlights that I would make as like a date night. They were having I Winster date night. It was wild, man.
That's awesome.
And it was cool because I kind of tapped into a creative, like a piece of me that a lot of people don't know exists, or didn't know existed. Now a lot of people know, but I actually really enjoy production. I really enjoy making like documentary style stuff. I really enjoy content creation. And like one of my top bucket list items, bro, is to produce and direct a movie one day. So it was cool to be a part of that. And then, but it got to a point where it was like, okay, now I had probably gained, dude, I gained like 60,000 followers in like 2 weeks. It was wild.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I have worked for 10 plus years to build this influence. I've worked for 10 plus years to get to this point where I have a community of people that support me, that are good people that we can actually make a difference with. And I was like, I don't want to be the, conspiracy theorist, political talking head. Like there's plenty of those. That is not why I wanted to actually build influence on social media. And so I decided to instead try to help. And we started to raise money for veteran organizations, anti-child trafficking. We started helping families across the nation, stuff like that. And, we started doing patriotic things. And I realized that all these people wanted to talk about that. They wanted to actually be, loud and proud about it, but they were afraid. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to get canceled. They didn't want to lose their jobs. They didn't want people to look at them differently. Like it was a weird time, as everybody knows. And even these people who were helping families and helping vet organizations, like, believe it or not, that was the kind of stuff that people would be like, oh, now you're far right wing, garbage or whatever. So I made a t-shirt. I made this t-shirt. And I was like, you know what? Like,
you're going to label me? Gone ahead.
Well, I was like, yeah, partially that, but also I was like, maybe people will wear this. Like maybe we can get, 50 people to wear this shirt instead of having to say anything, just wear the shirt. And that says enough. Right.
Yeah.
And it just took off, man. Like, 3 days, I think in like 2 days or 3 days, we did like over 300 and it just kept going and going and going and going. And it was like, make a hoodie, make hat, make kids stuff, and so it kept going for a while. And then it got to a point where, again, I kind of felt like, all right, I'm just doing the content. We're selling t-shirts, but like, let's get back to the roots. Like, let's continue to serve.
Yeah.
So during the height of COVID, when businesses were having to shut down because of lockdowns and all that stuff, we rallied together and we actually saved a few small businesses from having to close their doors, like literally one night to the next. We raised several $100,000 over a span of like 6 to 8 months or something like that for businesses, the organizations, all this different stuff. And it was crazy, man. Like it just kind of became this movement. And, the Patriot Friday thing, every Friday people were posting pictures and videos of them wearing the gear and talking about it. And I still had a career. Like I was still the CMO of this sales company. Like I hadn't left yet. This was all on the side.
Yeah.
But it got to a point where I'd had numerous conversations with the people that own the company. And even though we agreed on things, it was like, hey, this company is going to be multi-million dollars. You can't be the face of it if you're saying these things online. And I was like, all right. So that kind of started to play into it. And then it also it was a round peg in a square hole. So dude, one day I was just like, all right, I'm out. And I just left. And I went all in on this. And when I decided to do that, I was like, well, what is this, right? Am I just selling t-shirts like everybody else? Like, no, this is something bigger than that. And that's when I realized all these people who were throwing money and time and resources at these businesses and these people and these organizations, not one time did they ever ask me what color they were, what race they were, what political affiliation they were, what sex they were, no one asked any of those questions. They just did it. And that's when I realized, like, this is what we need to do. We need to remind people that patriotism is that. It's not exclusive. It's not partisan. It's just love of people and love of country. And quite frankly, it's not even American. It's everything, right?
Humanity, man.
Yeah, it's humanity. And so that's when Official Patriot Gear was born, dude. And that's what has been kind of my mission and my message for the last 4 years of just trying to remind people what patriotism really is during quite frankly, one of the hardest times to do that in probably modern history.
And when it's been most needed, bruv, when it's been most needed, it's like the gospel right now. 10 minutes ago, it would have been less polarizing, so it may not have even caught fire. You know what I mean? Right. Like everyone would be like, yeah, cool shirt, bro. Like, but now people are like, I want to stand for something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's how it's been. We've had a lot of support. We've had a lot of people like you that, you know, like I've never paid you anything, right? And you just wear the gear and you freaking rep it and you stand for what it stands for. And we've been blessed to have a massive community of people that have embraced that, and we keep growing. And you know, despite the hardships, and man, it has been freaking hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But like, despite that, right? We've continued to grow and we've continued to have that support, and I'm sure we'll get into that stuff, but yeah, man, that's a brief overview.
Yeah. Dude, that was great. I loved everything. I'm still taking notes.
Boom! I want to invite you guys to the Man of Peace protocols and implementation groups. So if you've been watching the podcast and you're like, yo, this is pretty cool, I'm really liking the vibe, all the things, we have underneath the show, in the show notes, hit the link, and we have implementation groups. We meet monthly. We are a fellowship, the Man of Peace Fellowship. We have live events. We have all kinds of things. Get into the implementation groups. We meet over Zoom. We are going through life together, working on being the best sons of God, men of peace we can be. We're working on making sure that we're operating at the highest levels in spirit, soul, and body at all times. So if you love the vibe of the podcast, I want to encourage you, take the next step, go to the next level, join the implementation groups, join the actual fellowship, meet other men of peace. Let's train together. Let's work together. Let's do life together. Let's execute on the will of the Father together. Blessed are the peacemakers. You guys know the rest. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
So you got horsepower too, man. I love it, man. You can just run with some stuff. Yo, what would you, I know this is old news. But still, man, I got you here. I want you to answer the question. Yo, how did you experience 9/11 different, bro? You know, I don't get to talk to witnesses, you know.
Let me
because I'm about that life, bro. Building number 7. What's up?
Yeah. So I wasn't a witness. I don't want people to think that I didn't live in the city. I was born, I lived upstate New York. I lived like an hour and a half north of the city. Super podunk town. My family of 7 lived in a single wide trailer most of my life.
Wow.
Like we were
Heck yeah. I knew this was a good story. I
didn't even have a TV, bro. We didn't even have a freaking TV to watch. Well, we had TV, but we didn't have cable. So what's interesting,
man. I mean, even poor people, that's like the one thing you'll see, like a TV on a you see a satellite on a box. You know what I'm saying? People living in a box, they got a TV.
By the way, going back to what I did in my previous career, I spent 10 years in the door-to-door sales industry, and I sold satellite TV. So full circle. But
that's savage, bro. Door-to-door is savage.
yeah, dude. So, but what I guess going back to that, like, what's interesting is I never actually even saw the 9/11 footage for like probably a year afterwards, because we didn't have TV. We just had the radio, stuff like that. But what I mean when I say I experienced it differently is I knew people that were there. I knew family. I knew friends. One of my best friend's dad was in like the 80-something floor of the second building, and has a super crazy like story about how they basically prayed to God. And, you know, everybody's running around like crazy, and there's just all this chaos and everything. And then sure enough, this guy, a man of faith, like this is what it's all about, right? He freaking prays to God, and he says, hey, help me get all of these people to just move. Like the biggest problem we have now is it's just chaos. How do we get out of here? Because we can't, right?
Right.
And it's a crazy story, man. I can't remember exactly what, some news station picked it up, but basically when he got done praying, everybody in that room, literally, it went radio silence, and he was able to get everybody to single file go down the stairs, and every single person made it out of that building.
Boom, let's go.
And the building had just come down when they were running out. Like the plume of smoke was chasing them down the road. So crazy story.
I love it.
Yeah, but like that's just one. So the other stories that I have are from, you know, PD, fire department, like people that actually experienced it, and you know, it was real. Like all the people that are saying, "Oh, it was a hologram." No, it wasn't. It was real. It was definitely real. The planes were real. The people died. Now, Was it the planes that caused the buildings to go down? The majority of people in New York will tell you no. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that plane took the building down. There was demolition. There was a lot of extra factors. There's a lot of stuff about, the potential money grab, the insurance claims, like all this stuff it's not just conspiracy theory. And this is really what got me to kind of like start to dig into, well, what else are we not being told? Right. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean when I say I experienced it a little differently, is I was close to people who actually experienced that. And I had in-depth conversations with them. And really, really had the ability to like, it wasn't just
soak it all up. Yeah. Like really get it good, and to feel the culture around it, like see how your culture reacted to it. And I completely understand that. That's awesome though. That's the story, and for me, it was kind of the same thing. Like I didn't even think twice about the narrative. Then I got in the Marine Corps, and then I started learning about demo. And then like once I, cause my job was, I was an 0351. So demo was one of my things. And then once I saw the way the buildings like imploded, I was like, bruh. I was like it was instantly. I was instantly awake. I was just like, I was just like, that was perfect. That was perfect. Yep. I was like, that was impressive. I was like, and then I was like, and then it happened a second time. Like maybe the first time it was like angels kept the building imploding perfectly.
Bro, then you have building 7, like the building 7 thing that nobody ever really talks about. Like, dude, all that stuff is just
so messy.
There's way too many coincidences for it to be a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's gross. It's gross. And if you don't believe us, just start doing some research. Good luck. Good luck.
Good luck. Like, I will say this. It's like you have to. I feel like this is something that I've been really good about, and this is why people have really followed me when it comes to this kind of stuff. Is I do try to see the middle ground. Like the truth is in the middle. It's not way over here, and it's not way over here. So. Were there planes? Yes. People that tell you there's no planes, that's too far. That's too much. It's taking it too far. There were planes. People saw the planes. The planes actually hit. People actually died. There were passengers. I know people that had family that were in the planes. So that's all real. The people that say it's not, that's not realistic. But was it controlled? Was it manufactured? Were there insurance claims? Was there a lot of stuff surrounding it? And was it done to get this country riled up enough to go into a 20-year war? Absolutely.
Absolutely. 100%.
I believe it was.
Yeah.
So, you got to be careful. But I think if you have the ability to kind of sift through the dirt and find the gold, that's
and constructive and
truth.
100%. That's where you find truth and a little bit of critical thinking, man. It's just truth has a frequency to it. It has a frequency. When you hear the truth, you're gonna be like, oh man, you're gonna be like that meme. Oh no, like no. You're gonna know, dude. Anyways, God bless you. Yo, switching gears a little bit. What role would you say? As a Man of Peace podcast, we're all about bringing men into alignment with the Father. What role would you say Christ has played in your life and then in your business?
That's a great question, man. I don't want to give like a textbook answer.
Yeah, no, it's good because real quick, give you a few more seconds to get loaded. Like, people who've been watching your journey, it's like, it's inspirational, bro. You're a dude. Came from a trailer park, you had no cable TV. Yeah. Now you're like an influencer of influencers. You're serving, and we hate that word. We both hate that word. I know, but like you're serving the world at a level. You have honor, you have dignity, you have respect. It's what has happened in your life is beautiful, and it's impactful. It's meaningful, most importantly. So, yeah man, how would you say God's influenced that?
I think ultimately, dude, it's been support. I mean, it's obviously faith, but it's support in the fact that like the way that I have been able to live my life in alignment with what I believe is Christ's teachings of, doing good. I've never been someone who's consumed alcohol or done drugs or any of that kind of stuff that can really mess up your mind, mess up your body, mess up your whole life. Sticking close to the teachings of the Savior has, I think, made it possible for me to live a life that, even though it's not easy, I have an incredible family. I have an incredible wife. I have a business I have. I believe that all the things that I have in life have come from me being willing to live a life that is not perfect, but according to the teachings of Jesus Christ. And more than that is also the atonement of Jesus Christ has allowed me to feel like even though I make a lot of mistakes and even though I am a very flawed man, it's not too late. Like
Yeah.
I can always be forgiven for the things that I do that are of the flesh. And I can always look to Jesus Christ as my savior and know that he paid the price so that I don't have to be, I don't have to be condemned for everything that I do naturally as a man here on earth. It's allowed me to live a life where I feel like I have been, I don't want to say sheltered from the world because I definitely haven't been sheltered from the world. It's almost like I've created a protection around me and I'm able to separate myself from the things that are truly evil in this world. And it's funny because I get a lot of people that are like, how do you do these deep dives and how do you know all of this stuff and still stay sane and like live a normal life? Like when I meet you in person, you seem like a totally normal person. But when I look at the highlights and the videos that you make, it's like so dark and so evil.
Yeah.
How do you do that? And I think the answer is I'm able to separate the darkness from the light. And even though I know the darkness exists, the light always
shines the darkness.
The light always outshines the darkness in my life. And so I'm able to still live a life that is full and happy and fulfilling, even though I know that all that darkness is there. And even though the darkness is there, I know that because of the atonement of Jesus Christ, because of the Savior, because of God, at the end of the day, things could get as bad, and they're going to, quite frankly. Like,
revelations has got to kind of happen.
I mean, look at California. Like, things are going to get really, really bad. We are definitely in the end times, but knowing that comes from also understanding that they have to get really bad before they get perfect and really good. Right. And so that faith in, good triumphing over evil and Jesus triumphing over evil. That's what kind of keeps me, I feel like, balanced. So I think that, I don't know, I guess that's maybe the best way to put it is like Jesus Christ has created balance in my life.
Yeah.
True balance of, that
sense.
makes sense.
100%. Because you're in, and even for me, same types of things. Like I'm in Iraq. I'm overseas. I was just in Haiti, and I'm looking at people who eat people and like some levels of darkness that like most people go their whole lives without seeing. But when you know that there's a good God and you know that there are good outcomes and you know that you have protection and you have a hope, and for me, I feel like he sent me here on a mission. Like I'm here on a mother freaking mission to do something for the kingdom. Like, this is not a game, and we're so blessed we get to do it right now during this time, and we have all these comforts, and I have air conditioning in my house. We're so blessed we get to do it like now. Maybe we'll see how crazy it gets, but
I was gonna say, don't speak too soon. Don't knock on wood, bro.
Because Cali's on fire right now.
Hollywood is on fire.
God bless Hollywood. I don't know what to tell you about, So it's super.
I look at it, dude, and I'm just like, I agree. You'll understand this. I say this sometimes, and I think people that don't understand what we're talking about can't really relate to it. And so to them, it just sounds kind of like cliche and like Mickey Mouse. But when I left my previous career bro, I had a great job. Like, people don't really understand this, but like, has my life been improved in a lot of ways since I decided to speak up? Absolutely. Yeah. But like, it has not been easy. I left a career that, quite frankly, I had the most job security that probably anybody could ever have because the people that own the company were like my best friends. And I had added so much value that there was no way I was going anywhere. Like I was always going to be with that company in some way, capacity, or form. And I was making, 100 to 200 grand every single year, depending on commissions. I was freaking traveling the world 2 or 3 times a year, basically for free. Like I had a life, bro. We had it good. It was comfortable. We were very, very comfortable.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when things blew up, like I said, my life has improved in a lot of cool ways. There's been a lot of things that I've met a lot of amazing people, and I've been blessed to have some really, really awesome experiences. To own this business has been amazing. To be surrounded by the people I am, my team, all of those things have been huge blessings. But don't think that it didn't come at a price.
Right.
And so when I say that when I left my business, I felt called to do what I'm doing now.
This is an operative word.
It's the truth. And I'll tell you why I know I was called.
Mm-hmm.
The
That's
day
awesome.
that I left that business or that career, like, dude, it was everything I knew. And I literally left it. And I will never forget this. I left the building and I drove to Walmart because that's where my wife was. She was shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking down the aisle and telling my wife, I just quit and I left. And she was like, what? You did what? And she was like, why are you so calm? Because I was so calm.
I like in a weird state of calmness, like this. I know
Literally,
on my deepest levels that this is the right decision.
Like I was the most uncomfortable I've ever been. My back was against the wall like it had never been before. And I literally just blew everything up that I built for 10 years. And it was like 12 years at that point.
Yeah.
And she was like, why are you so calm? You should be freaking out right now. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I will never forget it. I remember telling her because I know this is what I'm supposed to do. Like I literally felt called.
Let's go. Yes.
And sure enough, man, like we've built something incredible, you know?
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of people. It's not huge yet, but tens of thousands of people around the world, not just the country, the world represent or you know, rep this brand and talk about this movement. And we've raised money for organizations and we've saved businesses, we've helped people, and we've, you know, the stuff we did in North Carolina, like none of that would have been possible without accepting the calling that I did, you know, and that's if there's no other manifestation of the power of Jesus in my life and God and like true divine calling, I don't know what it is.
Let's go. No, I think it's so good. It's so important, man, because I constantly try to draw this parallel between the way we live our life, right? So there's like the horizontal plane, like this is what makes sense. This is what's logical. This is the play it safe. This is the 9 to 5. I got a good job. I'm super comfortable. Cool. And then there's this vertical, which is like probably what God's called me to do, what I want to do when I close my eyes, but I don't have faith enough to do because I don't know how I'm going to get there. Like I want to make a difference and I don't really know what it looks like. And like, there's this call and it's up, it's vertical because like this takes faith to get this done, right? You can get super good at this. Like you can create a super comfortable situation, but inside your spirit, like the spirit of God in you that set you to the planet to execute on a mission that's far greater. It's a supernatural mission. It's above logic. It's above natural. It is literally supernatural. You're going to need him and his guidance. You're going to need the Holy Spirit to walk you through this. And you're going to need operative word right here, faith. And so when you operate by this, like you can change your entire life with a series of these decisions if you understand how to get into this flow where you start to, it's almost like breadcrumbs of meaning. You know what I mean? It's like you're like, all right, I'm going to make these little conspiracy videos or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, like this is meaningful. And it's like, God kind of takes you on this journey.
And that's what happened, dude. That's ultimately what happened. I started sharing this stuff and it was like, I'm not just making videos about conspiracy theories. Like I'm helping people understand truth.
Like what's happening right now,
like what's really happening. And if you can understand, you know, they say that history repeats itself, right? But the reality is, and some people may have heard this before, it's not that history repeats itself. History rhymes.
Yeah.
Right? It rhymes. It doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it rhymes. And if you pay attention to the past, you can understand the present. And sometimes what I like to say is you can predict the future because it all works out, right? So like
cyclical,
I realized I was helping people understand, you know, there's more to what the freaking TV is telling you. There's more to what, like a lot more. And we need to get back to understanding that because I always said too that truth is what brought this whole thing together. Like truth and sharing truth is what actually brought this whole community together. But then freedom is what is actually going to keep it together and continue to make it grow. And freedom is rooted in truth. Without truth, there can be no freedom.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So,
but no, where you were at, one of the things I would say is it sounds like you've achieved, like you found at least what your present purpose is. And that's huge. And I know that there are a lot of dudes watching that are like, well, what the heck am I created to do? For me, finding my purpose. And the other thing you said is you've had to level up, like you've had to pull the Phoenix, like, all right, so we've got some momentum on social media. Like,
oh, for sure. I had to be prepared.
And you've had to like kill the old thing and then take another direction and be like, okay, we're going to transform,
dude, there's a lot to that's actually something I talk about quite a bit. Because it's something I believe in. So I'll tell you this, like people always say, well, not always, but they used to always say, oh, but you got lucky. You gained 60,000 followers in 2 weeks. And
once is luck, twice is skill, bro.
Yeah. They're like, you went viral and you got lucky and then you had this. And then it's like, okay, maybe like there's definitely a piece of luck to that, but you have to understand this too. I was creating content for 10 plus years. I was the guy that before anybody knew who I was the guy on Snapchat that you would get on and there would be 55,000 dots at the top of the screen all day, every day. And you'd be like, hell no, I'm not watching this guy. Like, every single day I posted, every single day, even during the lockdown, even during COVID, dude, most people that didn't know me before this didn't know this. But like when I actually was thinking, hey, this might be something like everybody else for, it was like 2 weeks. I feel like that it took me to realize it was bullshit. But like for 2 weeks, we quarantined in our house. What did I do? I started a fitness challenge and I got people on social media to post about winning your quarantine. And we did a contest and like, I was
this is in you. This is
dude. I was constantly active on social media. I had done the reps. So when it blew up, I knew what to do with it. That's the difference. Because I always tell people, I'm like, if you had 1,000 followers and you never posted, and then all of a sudden you make one post and you go viral, you wouldn't know what to do with it. And you would probably lose all of it because you don't have the reps. It's like anything else. So
your root system's got to go deep before that fruit shows up, man. Otherwise, you just fall over. It'll kill you, man. Actually,
fruit,
right? 100%.
And I what I always tell people too is going along with what you're saying. For anybody that's watching this that is thinking like, well, what am I meant to do? I believe wholeheartedly that God gives us callings in life.
Yeah.
And I also believe that he gives us multiple callings. But here's what happens. If you are not ready and prepared and able to listen and hear and act on that calling, that calling is given to someone else.
Yep.
And if I'm actually writing a book about this, it's funny.
So good.
Yeah.
Many are called, few are chosen, man.
Yeah. And so it's like, and I'll give you an example why I know this too. So seems like another life, but prior to all this, and while I was selling door to door, and while I was in college, I also ran events. I threw massive, like
I saw that on your little reel thing.
Parties, yeah. And I was in the event space per se, right? And so when I was getting to like my 6th or 7th year in door to door sales, I had this idea to turn door-to-door sales into an event. I was like, door-to-door doesn't have any kind of like convention or anything. So why don't we create a convention for door-to-door salespeople, right? I had
my man. I love it, bro. That's what I did to the EP industry. Let's go.
So listen to this though. I had an entire blueprint written out on a piece of paper. I had audio recordings of exactly how I would do it, how I would build it out, who the speakers would be, how much it would cost, all the different topics, the mission of it, all of this stuff, right? I had it all written out. I had it all planned out. I sat on that for probably 14 months. And sure enough, a buddy of mine, all of a sudden one day I'm sitting at work and I see this post come up, and it's all about door-to-door con.
Yep.
And all of this stuff, and I'm not exaggerating. You can ask him to this day. Like, I reached out to him, and he's a buddy now. He wasn't a buddy at the time, but I reached out to him and I was like, bro, no joke. And I'm not saying this because I'm like trying to say you stole my idea or anything. Like, it is what it is. You got to it first. But I was like, I just want you to know it's crazy because I have literally the entire thing that you have explained written out on a piece of paper and an audio recording of me talking about doing it, to the point where we had planned the same speakers, bro. We'd never met at all. And he was like, yeah, right. And I was like, I'm dead serious. Let me send it to you. And so I did. And he was like, holy crap, you're not kidding. Like, this is verbatim what I was planning. And so now, if you go actually look this up, it's crazy because I think it's his ninth one, maybe his seventh one that he's doing this week. It's happening right now in Utah. Thousands and thousands of salespeople. They've built out an award system. They have groups. They have, I think, have you ever heard of Harry Mack, the rapper on social media? He's performing and
let's go
all this crazy stuff, right? And he has built this
an empire
business, and he's thriving. And it's like, I was not able, I wasn't ready. I wasn't able to hear, and I wasn't willing to act at the time. And so the calling that could have been mine was given to somebody else.
Yep.
And that is proof of what I'm talking about. But then sure enough, fast forward 5 years later, I receive another calling, and I was ready and able to receive it and willing to act.
Yep.
And here we are. And so what I would tell you is there is a calling for you as well. You may have already received one, but not been able and willing to receive it, right? But I would tell you that the thing I think gets us closer to being in that position and able to receive the calling is when, instead of chasing things like money, instead of chasing things like what we would consider success, we chase fulfillment. Ultimately, God wants us as his children to be fulfilled.
Right.
He doesn't want us to feel like there's an empty space. He wants us to feel like we are doing something, like we are full, like we are.
Like we want to serve.
Yeah, dude, it's not about, I always tell people, it's not about happiness. Happiness is fleeting, just like sadness, just like any of these other
just feelings. Like motivation, just like
fulfillment is something that you can build a foundation on. And so what I've always done in my life is kind of like what you were saying. I've always chased fulfillment. And the minute that I start feeling like there's something missing, like I'm not fulfilled anymore, that's when I know, that's my trigger. That's what I believe is honestly God telling me, you either need to figure out a way to get to feel that fulfillment again where you are, or it's time to pivot and go to something else and find that fulfillment somewhere else. So literally, I went from doing events to doing door-to-door sales to, when I was not feeling fulfilled knocking doors, I decided to build out their training program. When I felt like I wasn't fulfilled with training anymore, I decided to do their marketing. When I wasn't fulfilled with marketing anymore with that company, I decided to jump into their medical space. And when that wasn't fulfilling anymore, sure enough, I decided to start doing content on social media. Content on social media led to this, to this, to this, to now we're here today, right? And I've constantly chased that feeling of fulfillment. And that is what I believe has allowed me to continue to progress the way that I believe God wants me to. So that's for awesome. All of you listening, that would be my advice. Chase fulfillment and be willing and able to receive a calling and act on it, and just continue to follow that process.
This is awesome. This is so good. And so, like, I think one of the main things that you're saying too is that fulfillment comes from serving. Like when you're doing their marketing, when you got into the medical, when every single thing you mentioned are acts of service, the fruit of those acts of service working, you are helping, you're putting points on the board for your teams, you're serving people in all these awesome ways, and you're seeing what that's doing in people's lives, and you're feeling that feeling of fulfillment. If you're looking for that feeling, like go give like a homeless dude some money or a sandwich or something today, and that's like a shot of like kind of the feeling you get when he's like, hey man, thanks bro, and you're like, God bless you.
Yeah, that is it's funny because this all kind of goes back to what you were talking about. And I guess there's a lot of answers to the question that you asked me in the beginning of how has Christ affected my life. But like, that's probably another huge one. I mean, and I know that I'm not trying to make myself sound like some kind of like saint or something. I'm not
putting
a
ourselves
man.
in front so
But I
people
will
can
just
see.
tell you, there's nothing better than serving people. There's nothing better than it. And if you're feeling like your life is not in a place where you want it to be, or you're feeling like something's missing, or you're feeling like things just aren't connecting, the number one thing that you can do is put yourself in a position to serve somebody. And yeah, you're right. I mean, sales, that was one thing, like, people can look at sales in different ways. I always looked at sales as a way to serve people. It's a way to put them in a better situation than they were in before, and for it to be a win-win situation. And that built on the ability to serve the company and serve and so serving has definitely been a huge aspect of my life. And I would say it's definitely because of my faith in Jesus Christ and my overall just spirit in the world of just like, I want to be more than just a cog. Like I want
taker or a cog.
Yeah. Because I do believe that. I mean, the more you give, I will tell you right now, the more you will receive. And it's not that you're giving because you want to receive. It's just a law. It's just a universal law. Whether you believe in God, whether you believe in, spirits and universe, or whatever it is, the law of the harvest is a universal law. If you give, you will receive, and you will receive tenfold. It may not happen right away. It may happen a long time after, but that's a reality. And my life is it's a manifestation of that every 100%. Single day. Like it proves that, that's a reality. So yeah.
No, that's good stuff, man. And God, like Jesus gets into your heart and he changes the way that he changes your orientation to life. And so like now you're with him driving you, it's like, well, how can I serve these people? Or you start to want to do these kind of good things. And then you start to look at your life one day and you're like, kind of like what you said, you're like, I've kind of built a moat of like, I'm not indulging in things that are corrosive and negative to my life. And as a result, I actually have a pretty stable, like healthy life. And it's kind of crazy. We sound like idiots. It's crazy how that happens. I'm not being sarcastic, I swear. But like when you're trying to have like the quick fun, it's like dangerous at the same time. And then you start to sit back and you're like, dang, man, like this way of living has created this beautiful environment for these things to grow and for me to have this stability and honor and dignity.
Yeah.
And it's pretty awesome.
And all of, we don't have time to get into a lot of my like past and stuff, but things that have happened in my past, things that have happened with my family, like all of these things kind of build on themselves to create this desire in me to want to be more, to want to serve. Growing up poor, like, dude, we didn't suffer like a lot of other people. I served a mission in Nicaragua. Like that's suffering, right? People truly suffer. And yet
you got to see.
And yet they're still the happiest and most humble people I've ever met.
100%, man.
That's a whole other topic of conversation. But like, I never, like, it was hard, right? And it created this fire inside of me that like, I never want my kids to ever wonder whether or not it's going to be warm in the winter. I don't ever want my kids to wonder whether or not they can have orange juice. Like, as like, little things, right? I don't ever want my kids to not have, and this is going to sound entitled or whatever, but like, I don't ever want my kids to wonder whether or not they're going to be able to have a new pair of shoes.
Right.
And it's like, I had to go through that to understand the importance of making sure my kids never do. Right.
Yeah.
But all of these things I believe are given to us. Right. I believe these experiences are given to us by God. You know what? I'll tell you what, my mission.
No, they're gifts. These traumatic, many cases, horrible, hardcore experiences, they're gifts because they're shaping aspects of you that are going to be necessary for the next phases of life, man. I'm convinced.
No, for sure. And on that, I have, obviously, because of the nature of my business, Patriot Gear and, all American and patriotic and all this stuff. And I'm a pretty fit dude. Like I work out. And so people are like, oh, did you serve? I get asked that all the time. No, not a veteran. I'm just a civilian. And I've never served in the military. And quite frankly, I don't want to, bro. Like the reason why I'm so
You
grateful,
know too much now. You know, dude,
well,
imagine how it was for me, bro.
yeah,
I get
yeah.
back and I'm like, we were smoking fools and we don't even know. Like, I'm like sitting there
So
like,
I will, yeah, I'll tell you this.
all
Like
right,
the
well,
joking side, I will tell you this, bro. I
yeah,
never thought in a million years that I would ever say that if I was called to serve in the military, that I would not do it. But I will tell you right now, bro, there's no way in hell that I'm going to fight a banker's war and leaving my family so that politicians can line their pockets and this political bullcrap and like never.
bro.
However, but I will say this:
Yeah,
those bastards show up on our freaking coast, I'll be
we're
in the front line.
burning them to the
Front
ground,
line,
bro.
because
Oh, I'm
that's
right there
different,
with you,
right? Like that's
100%.
different. Then
Yeah,
you're actually defending the homeland. Then you're actually
then
defending freedom.
you're
Yeah,
actually fighting. You know what you're fighting for. I can only my dad too. My poor dad, man, because he was already on this channel, and I'll never forget the day I told him I was joining the Marine Corps. And that's what he said. He was like, you could. It was like his soul left his body for a second.
yeah, bro.
Now
So
I
like,
get it. God bless him.
so
Anyways,
going back, jokes aside though, like going back, what
yeah,
I'm saying is the reason why I'm grateful for veterans and the people that do serve is because,
yeah,
quite frankly, they're doing what I don't want to do so that I can live a life that is full.
yeah,
Like those dudes are making it possible, and those women are making it possible for me to live, to be a father, and to be a husband, and to not have to worry about putting my life on the line. Like,
yeah,
and because I don't want to, I don't
yeah,
want to go to war, bro.
yeah,
Like, and so, but I will say this, going back to how God gives us experiences that build on things to come.
yeah.
When people ask me that, they're like, well, then why is this such a thing for you? And I will tell you right now, where I gained my patriotic like spirit, or like my love of country and my desire to speak out about that kind of stuff, is when I served my mission. Living in Nicaragua, experiencing what it's like to live in a third world country with a straight up dictator,
Yeah.
like I know now what we have, and
Yeah.
I know what it's like on the other side of the tracks. And
Yep.
so my respect and my love and my appreciation for my country came from serving God in a third world country.
Yeah.
Like that's what ultimately has made this such a passionate thing for me. And it's interesting because I didn't realize that until after the fact, right? I
Yeah.
didn't realize that that was ultimately what really drove me to gain this like passion. But it's like you
Yeah.
said, dude, everything builds on itself. Sales and like it all builds on itself, and it all eventually leads you to where you're supposed to be. And you
Yep.
just have to be able to discern that, right? And
Yep.
I believe discernment is a gift from God, and it's given to people who, this is going to offend some people, but
Let's go.
I'm not trying to offend you and I'm not trying to judge you. But the fact is, I believe that because I have lived a life free of substance abuse, and I've tried to keep my mind and my body as clean as possible, as clear as possible, I have been able to discern. I have been clear. I haven't had the fogginess that I believe comes with that stuff, right?
Yeah.
The fact that I don't participate in any of that stuff, I believe has given me a protection and has given me an enlightenment, and I feel closer to my savior than I would if I hadn't done that, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. 100%.
And I'm not trying, again,
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to offend
Yeah.
you. I'm not trying to, like, I don't
Right.
judge people. You know, I have a lot of friends that drink. I have a lot of, bro, I
Yeah.
grew up with nothing but burners. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not judging you, and I'm not trying to tear you down, but I'm just saying the fact that because I haven't done those things, I believe it's made me more aware. It's
Yeah.
created more of the ability to discern and be aware of my state.
Yeah, no, and I don't disagree with that at all. especially if it's a conviction that you have, like it's something that you feel like God's like, yo, bro, stay away from that, like then 100% too. And like none of those things were created to make us better. Like it's basic logic. It's like, like the drinking thing. Like I don't drink, now I've gone, I'm like Paul, I've done all the sins. Like I've done all the drugs and all the things, you know what I'm saying? But like I don't, and it always amazes me when I'm with people and they're like, you don't poison yourself? We're all poisoning ourselves tonight. Hey, how come? And they're like, come on. And I'm like,
dude, it happens so many times.
I'm like, no,
people
guys.
Are like, you're not drinking. Like, you're not drinking.
Okay?
And you're going to talk to your wife on the phone. Like, this is a part of what you're doing. And it's funny because it's like, I'm not judging anybody, but like, I feel so blessed and so fortunate of the fact that I can go to these things. And dude, when I tell you there's no temptation, I'm not exaggerating. Like I have zero desire to participate in any
I'm right there with you, bro.
It drives me nuts. Like
I'm right there with you, dude.
Especially when my friends are just drunk off their ass and they come up to me. I'm like, bro, please just go
I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm like, you don't even know what's going on. You're not going to remember tonight. I am more than willing to drive you home right now, but like, get it.
Like, I have to babysit you now, right now.
Yeah, dude. And it's just like, again, man, it's the building on things, right? Like the reason why I do that is not just because of my faith. I mean, we believe in my faith that is not something you're supposed to do, but like, that's not really the main reason why. The main reason why I don't is because I've seen what it does to people. My family, people in my family have a history of substance abuse, and I've seen what it does. We don't need to get into that right now, but like, I've seen the destruction and the chaos and the absolute utter disparity that it creates. Wow. And I've just never had a desire to be a part of that. Like it's been enough to make me say, I never, ever want that to be a part of my life. Yeah. And as a result, once again, the more you give, the more you receive, right? This is in a way, I believe I am giving God,
it's consecration.
Yeah, exactly. It's consecration. I'm giving that back to God, and in return, I believe, has given me the ability. Dude, by the way, thank you for this conversation because it's actually, I'm learning things right now. And this is one of those things where I'm kind of realizing right now, like by me giving that, I have received something that is far more precious, which is the ability to listen.
And to be clear and hear. No, I'm right there with you, man. No, that's awesome, dude. And I can see the external processing that happens when we go deep like this. Because as dudes, we don't go deep like this a lot. We're always just like out there hammering, like fighting whatever business decisions. You know what I mean? So we don't.
Fires.
Yeah, exactly. We don't always stop and think about these things, and so that's super awesome. And I 100% agree with you. I don't drink. It makes me feel good. Like I think God's happy that I don't drink because I represent him, and I don't want to misrepresent him walking around being like not sharp. But my purpose, man, like I can't have a client call me and I'm like faded or drunk or high and be like, hey Byron, like I need you to drop a team here, or what's going on property, or like that's absolutely not okay. So like one, that's in the back of my head. Two, like reality is my drug, man. Like I want to be here with you. Like if you talk to me, and I've done all of the drugs in more amounts than everyone else. Like God made me strong. I can handle a lot.
You've been there.
Yeah, I've been there, and
hey,
like
but that's part of it, dude. That's
100%.
Also part of it, man. Like, this is something I always say too. It's like perfect people can't repent. Perfect people can't experience the power of the atonement of Jesus Christ. Right. How could you?
Yeah, right? No, 100%.
We all make mistakes, and we all have to.
Yeah, and it gives me a superpower. I can sit and talk with somebody who's in it that wants to get out of it, or somebody who's just in it. I mean, I can sit there and be with them.
But I guarantee you, someone listening right now that's like, "Damn."
100 on both sides, man, and it's good. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to hit real quick, but on the intoxication thing, I just love to be sharp, and I love to impact reality and deal with what's in front of me.
Can I ask you something too? Because we talked about me a lot. I want to ask you a few questions.
Send it.
So when you first got on the call, you had your boy with you, right? How many kids do you have, Byron? I forget.
Oh, I have two.
How old are they?
One boy and one girl. So 1.5 and like 5.
Okay, so I got a 3 and a 5-year-old.
There you go.
How would you say that having the kids has changed everything for you too? Like I guarantee, I mean, if you're, I feel like once you become a parent, everything changes. I always tell people that are becoming parents, like your life's never going to be the same, but you're not going to want it to be because there's nothing being a father. How would you say that has changed you and how has it affected like everything that you do? I mean, because it was manifest right when you got on this call. That was the first thing I saw your boy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you're it, man.
No, dude, it's been wild, man, having a kid, having children and like seeing them come out of you and like look at you and stuff. It's cool. It's been one of the greatest gifts of my life. It is the best part of my life, I would say, is like this last year was really tough for me in a lot of areas. And I just remember people would be like, "How's family?" I'm like, "Dude, family's great. Family's the best part, bruh." Family was great. And so like having a family just so I would say like this purpose gives you boundaries, right? So like half the reason I don't drink is because, or do really anything, is because my purpose, like I've been blown up a bunch of times. I got brain damage. Like I don't need to do anything to make that more complicated. You know what I mean? So like,
there for your kids, man.
Exactly. And so I got to be about my father's business, right? So like I'm on game. And then when you add kids to that mix and like my daughter and my son are watching me every day. They're studying me. They're energetically absorbing my presence, the way I walk around, my emotional stance, the way I interact with them, the way they watch me as a man interact with other people. It impacts both the little dude and both the female. Like, what does it take to win? Like, they're watching and recording everything I do. So I'm living my life like I'm a superhero sent here by God on a mission. And secondarily, my kids are watching me like, this is how we get down right now.
Or they're superheroes.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't get to say, like, my wife bet on me, right? Like, God bless her. She bet on me. She's an adult. She's responsible for that. Like, these children.
She's the one that made the wrong decision.
Yeah, she's the one. Yeah. Marine Corps, you signed the motherfucking contract. Yeah, but the kids, they didn't get a say. God was like, yo.
They're stuck.
They're stuck. Like me and you got to be their superhero, bro. So for me, I'm just running the ball down the field thinking about that. And when our kids, bro, get to that age where they are becoming conscious and they get to decide, like, do I go the way of the world or do I go listen to my parents? Do I want to learn from my parents as an adult or do I want to go like watch MTV and do all this fun stuff? I want my kids to look at me and be like, bro, like I heard one of my sisters say this, which was so cool. This dude was hitting on her and my dad's a savage, right? This dude was hitting on her. She was like, pulled her hand back and she was like, what am I going to do with you? She's like, I can't take you home. Do you understand what my dad's going to do to you? Because you got some Jordans on, like, and you can talk sweet. You think I'm going to take you to my house? My dad will kill you. She's like, she just looked at him like, you germ. Like my dad has set the bar
so much higher.
Exactly.
He just wasn't even going to waste time.
Like, stop yourself. And so that's what I want my kids to look at, the ways God's like impacted my life and the kingdom of heaven we've been able to build here by his grace versus what the world is offering. And I want them to be like, nah, bro, like I'm listening to my dad. Like I don't want what this rapper or whoever it is or dude that's trying to get me to leave my room right now has. I want to be honorable and respected and all these things that I see the fruit of living in alignment with the spirit that's in my house, my family. So yeah, it changed the game.
With everything that you have going on, because dude, I mean, you're one of the busiest people on planet Earth. I mean, dude, like it took us 3 times to actually even get on the call, right?
Yeah,
that's all.
bro.
That's both of us. But
it's beautiful, man.
Do you feel like it's been hard to be as present as you want to be with your family, or do you feel like you've done a good job of being really present? Because I'll be honest, like building this business has made it extremely hard to be as present as I want to be. And there have been so many times where I'm just like, I mean, I just told you, dude, I told you that like, I can't do this call later because I would miss another jujitsu class for my son. And I missed the last one. It's like, there's so many things but at the same time, right. You struggle with this whole, a buddy of mine who is extremely successful. Like this is the kind of person that has more money and more power than anybody will ever know. And nobody knows who they are because he doesn't talk about it.
Because he's smart. Because he's actually smart.
Yeah, exactly. He's actually rich and he's actually successful.
A real rich person, yeah. Wealthy person.
Like, anyway, so I think you know who he is, and I'll tell you after. But anyway, he said something the other day. He actually just lost his daughter.
Oh,
And
man.
he said there's two things that I've learned in 2024. And the first thing, and this came coming from this guy, like, was unreal. It was a shock to my system. He said, the first thing I've learned is no amount of money can buy time, which we've heard that before, right? But hearing it from this guy, bro, was like,
it hits
this
different.
guy has money, dude.
Yeah.
This guy has money.
He figured some things out.
Yeah. And I was like, man, that is crazy. And then the other thing he said was, regret is a generational curse. And I had never heard that before, but he basically was like, what he was saying was, and he elaborated on it. He basically said, as an entrepreneur or just people in general, a lot of the time will make these justifications of, well, my kids are too young to really understand what's going on. And I do this all the time. So believe me when I tell you, like, I'm not trying to say that, like, this is a problem for me.
Yeah.
I'm just being vulnerable. Like,
we're talking.
It's hard because sometimes I'm like, I want to build this business to a point where we don't have to worry. Like I just want to be able to build something that is a legacy. I wear this literally every day, leave a legacy, right? Because I want to build something and leave my kids something that they can hold on to forever. But it's like, I get in this place where I'm like, if I just miss the stuff now, it'll be okay because I won't have to miss it later. And when he talked about how that is something that every generation does and how it's a mistake that they make, it was a shock, because I was like, I've said that so many times where it's like, he's only 5. Like, I don't really remember anything until after I was 6 or 7, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, going
that's
back
good,
to the question,
dude. No, that's good. I love it, man.
Feel like you've been able to be as present?
So this is how I would approach that question. And it's like, I got to go kind of deep for a second. So, my dad wasn't there. Like, so my dad, God bless him, you know what I'm saying? And some of you guys have heard this story. You're going to hear it a lot. All right. I love my dad. We're black. We just don't. Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying? So black people don't have dads. They just don't stay home. It's fine. It happens in every culture, but like, we really, so no, God bless my dad. I love him. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, man, I would go to the Bahamas to visit him for the summers, and he would just be working. One of the most successful businessmen in the Bahamas and magazines and all this, but he would just be hammering, and I'd be like, and he'd like make me some promise at the beginning of the summer, and he'd be like, Dad, he'd be like, yo, son, we're gonna go bowling, and I'm like, okay, and then like every day I'd be like, are we gonna go bowling, Dad? And he'd be like, I gotta go to the office.
Straight out of the movies.
It's freaking horrible, bro. So I was like, Dad, like, we're gonna go bowling. Like, that was my thing. And then all summer, bro, I would just be home by myself, and he would send me to summer camp, and like I'd be like this 7-year-old on a raft in the ocean, spearfishing by myself, and like almost dying and almost getting like swept out in the ocean. Like, this crazy life, like feral child in a third world country. So anyways, the point is, I watched him like make these massive sacrifices. And in my life, I was always like, but it's okay, because this is what it takes to win. Like, and I never let myself be angry. I always just, as a little kid, was just like, this is what it takes. Like, okay, my dad's doing the best he can. He's winning. This is just what it takes. And he still loves me. You know what I mean? And then
you still have a good relationship with your dad?
Yeah, I love him. He's still too busy for me. God bless him. But like when I did an operation, I got like smuggled through Dominican Republic. He happened to be there, and we saw each other at dinner, and then I like left, and that was it. But like, anyway, so he's still too busy, but I love him. He's awesome. And the point is, though, and there's really a beautiful end to this story where God's just been coming through for me, dude. He's been 100% dependable. And I remember later on this year, I was like, Father, man, I was just like, thank you so much for actually being 100% dependable. And he's like, do you see what I've done? And I'm like, what am I missing? And he's like, I'm fixing that wound in your heart from your father, because you never have been able to depend on him. And as a result, you've never really been able to depend on anyone else. And I really haven't. Most of us haven't. Humans are humans. You can't really depend on them anyway, but I, in that moment, I felt like, man, my heavenly father has been batting a 100 for me. And I just want a lot of men to know that you have a heavenly father who, I swear, even when you don't understand how he's answering your prayer or how he's guiding you, like you're being fathered, man. And it's super awesome. But anyways, to answer that question now, I have to be careful that my busyness and my productivity does not become my God, right? So I can very easily think that because I'm executing on these ops, that I'm providing for myself when we both know God's the one that gives us the power to get wealth, to succeed in all these things. And so I have to make sure that my values stay aligned, and I have to be like, yo, the busyness is going to be there. If I'm being the man God wants me to be, I will have everything and not just the business success while forfeiting other things that matter even more. Because even my dad will tell me right now, he'll be like, yeah, man, like your family's the most important thing. So I have to make sure that my productivity, which feels amazing, which I love, doesn't become my source or my God. And that I make sure that like he's my source, and being the version of him that he wants me to be in all things is really the source. And then what ends up happening is I don't get as much done. I have a hard stop, 5 to 7. I'm with the family. Like, unless the world's blowing up, unless the world stops spinning, that's family time. Or now it's getting a little later because the kids are going to bed later, you know. But if I'm in town, that's my hard stop.
How do you? So, dude, I love that. By the way, thanks for sharing that. It's funny because I kind of have the same story. I mean, my dad wasn't like away in a different country and stuff, but my dad was also in door-to-door sales, like almost the entire time.
So he was grinding.
Bro, he sold life insurance door to door. Can you imagine knocking on somebody's door and trying to talk about life insurance? And he crushed.
Dude, this is like being a hostage negotiator. Like, I'm just like, you guys actually sell things? Like, it works sometimes? Like, dude, man, this is nuts. Because I know I have hated everyone who's ever showed up at my door.
Bro, I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not saying this to be cocky or anything. Like, you can ask anybody that knew me in the industry. I literally sold almost every single human being I talked to. But mine was easy. I was selling TV. Somebody already had TV. I was just getting them to switch their service. That was a thing. My dad, however, on a whole other level, anyway, point is, I don't remember him being around a lot as a kid, but I also am the same as you. What I do remember is always thinking he's making it possible for us to live, and like he's successful. And I looked up to him, even though he wasn't always there. And even though I don't have the memories of like always playing baseball with him or whatever, it was like, what I do remember is that he was always sacrificing to make it happen for us. And he was always out there in the cold, knocking on doors in freaking freezing weather and like in the hot. And dude, there was a point where he was not only the leader of our church organization, but he was also knocking doors, and he was getting his bachelor's degree at the same time because he dropped out of college.
Outstanding.
And so like the epitome of hard work, the epitome of sacrifice, the epitome of everything. And he was also always such a faithful man of God.
Wow.
But
that's huge.
That being said, though, I do see that kind of starting to bleed into me, where it's like, I'm constantly telling myself, my kids are going to see that. I don't need to be there as much. I just need to keep on grinding and grinding and grinding, because I got to put them in a place where they're, able to have everything I didn't. And so what I wanted to ask you was, and this has honestly just been the last couple of years that I've struggled with this, really, right? I hope it's okay that I asked, but
this is great,
when
dude.
You are with your family, right? Because even when I'm with my family and I do have the hard stop and I turn the phone off and it's off, dude, my brain does not stop. It doesn't stop, bro. And do you know how hard it is for me to sit down in my boy's room and like play with trains?
Play GI Joes or trains?
Like I look at some of these other. We always compare ourselves to like the movies and things like that. I'm like, how the hell did this guy just sit down and play GI Joes with his kid for freaking an hour? Because my brain is like 10 minutes in and I'm like,
I completely get it.
What do you do? Because obviously it's like playing with trains is not the most exciting thing on the planet, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do to really be present with your kids?
I think I have advantages, dude, because realistically, like, I know I had this experience in Iraq where I got blown up, and I as far as I'm concerned, I died, dude. And I got to experience what you're gonna feel when you're dying. And I got to experience like
the second person told me that. Tommy Vex is the other one that died.
Yeah. Tommy's awesome. We talked
Have
about
you
it.
had Tommy on here yet?
I'm about to. I was on his. I'm gonna chase him. I'm gonna get him on here, man. We got to do this. That's
Bro,
a
I'll
great
get him on
reminder.
here
Let's go.
yesterday. He needs to go on this for
Yeah,
sure.
hit him up and I'll hit him up too, man. But yeah, no, so for me, I just know for a fact, bro, a day's coming when my daughter is not gonna want to play dolls. I'm gonna be like, hey, like, you want to go do something? And I'm gonna have to like straight up get her some kind of a like, I'm gonna have to like buy her something, or you know what I mean? Like the day's
Yeah.
coming when I'm gonna be like, hey, dolls, you want to, and so these days are fleeting. And so that's how I keep myself grounded, as I'm like, dude, my little dude is not gonna just like, he just busts in here and like hops up on my lap. Like, dude, I probably got like 10 more minutes of that, because when it's gone forever. And we both know now how life kind of feels fast and slow at the same time. Like, it wasn't too long ago when I was like getting back from Iraq and getting out of the Marine Corps and traveling the world. Like, you know what I mean? And so I look at life as this, like, I'm
Yeah.
never going to get this moment again. My daughter just asked me to go play with her. This may happen like maybe 50 more times in my entire life. And I'm halfway through my life. And so
What
that
would you
grounds.
say to somebody then? Because I get that. I definitely understand that. It's funny because my father-in-law actually said the same thing. My father-in-law they have 5 kids. Their fifth kid came like, I want to say it was like 10 years after the other kids. So like he kind of got another shot at what you're talking about, because what he told me was, you're going to realize that all the times that your kids are saying, daddy, daddy, hold me, or daddy, daddy, can I go to the store with you, or daddy, daddy, can do, he's like, it stops and you don't realize it until it does. And he's like, I kind of got another shot with our fifth kid, because now anytime he says that, it's not like before where I was like, well, I got to do this, I'll get to it later, I got to do this, I'm busy, blah blah. He's like, when Logan asked me if I can hold him or can go to the store, like, it's a yes every single
Yes.
time.
Yep. I
But
live
I
from the
think
regret. I live from the regret of the future.
regret
And
is the
I'm
official curse.
literally trying to be like, when that moment comes and those little humans are like they're too busy, I'm gonna be like, you know what? But every moment I could, I took advantage of it. Yeah, I mean, and that's how you fight that regret off, bro. That's the game.
What would you say to somebody who doesn't have that exact? Because, like, I've never died. I'm sure there's people on
Yeah.
this that are like, I've never died. I don't know what it's
Yeah.
like to have that perspective. And I know it's probably near impossible to give that perspective. Like, that's crazy to even think about. But if there was something that you think you could say to somebody who doesn't have that same perspective, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say leverage regret, man. I would say you've had times in your life when you have missed an opportunity that's not freaking coming back. Like for you, like and this has happened to me too, where I had a great idea and I didn't take action, I didn't pull triggers, and then I'm sitting on the couch and an infomercial comes on and it's the exact same thing that I was supposed to do, and I'm sitting there like, are you seriously? And I just sit there like, man, you could be in a completely different universe of a situation, but you were a pussy. Yeah, I mean, or you didn't work hard enough. You know what I'm saying? And the Bible God hates cowards, right? And I was just sitting there like, but I didn't take action and I'm getting what I deserve. So what I would say is live from that regret, like know that this is going to end and it's never going to come back. And I would say that regret probably, when you came across the next opportunity, maybe to leave your business and step into this, you felt that calling, it might have helped you be like, I'm not missing this one.
Okay, so I was just gonna say, because I'm gonna throw a curveball at you now, though.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is gonna sound, even thinking this is like, people are gonna think I'm just crazy. But
Nah, but we
what
both
if?
crazy.
What if? What if you don't really have regrets? Like, so that experience that I had with that business, or with that idea or whatever, I would say that I regretted it for a little bit, but like, even to this day, that's not a huge regret I have, because at the end of the day, I'm so
Wasn't
glad
perfect
that I
for you.
didn't go down that
Right.
path.
Right.
I'm glad that that's not what my life is, because it wouldn't be fulfilling. I would
Right.
hate it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I got out of the industry, it was like the best time of my life. I loved being in the door-to-door industry, and it built so much character, and I've gained so many skills, and it's something that I would never change in a million years.
Yeah.
I don't regret it at all. But at the end of the day, like, I'm so glad that I'm out of it.
Yeah.
There's so much toxicity in it.
Yeah. It's a
So,
season.
so let me throw a curveball at you. And that is, I genuinely don't really have any regrets in life, bro. Like, I don't feel like I regret anything. I like, when I think about it, I'm like, I can't think of a real regret that I have.
That's awesome.
And that sounds so, like, I feel like that sounds so entitled. Or so, like, people are like, oh, this
No,
guy.
I think
Like,
that that's a healthy mind, because
but I think
regret.
maybe that's why I struggle so much, because I don't have that feeling of regret. And so I don't understand it yet. So maybe this is like my test where the regret is going to come
Yeah.
from.
No, I mean, I hope not, man. I think
I hope not, too.
regrets also a choice. So like, there are things that have happened to me or things that have hit me, and like the mental alchemy that I am always focusing on is like, I will transmute everything into a positive by the grace of God. I make the meaning, right? Like, He gives me things in front of me. I ask Him how to look at it, and by the, all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called by His purpose. Like, this will serve us and the mission that you have for us. So I don't really have many, like, I can't think of a regret either, because I've transmuted all these negatives into positives,
So that's,
and
I think
so
that's what I'm getting at. I've done the same
that's
thing.
what I'm saying. I think that
Yeah.
you just have a strong mind. But I do think when it comes to this, there's like things that, bro. Like, and there's things I try to learn from the old heads. Like I'm always listening to older people, like what's coming, man. Like when I see a dude in his
The
70s,
wisdom.
yeah, bro, and he's like, I still feel like I'm in my 20s, and he's like in his 70s. I'm like, I'm so scared, bro. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm gonna be trapped in a 70-year-old body, and I'm gonna swear up and down I'm in my 20s. Like, that's how this is gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm always like taking notes, and like that's one of those ones where I'm like, we better get this right, man,
I
because
think
I see it in my dad. I see it in a lot of, and adults will always tell you, you better enjoy it while it lasts. They are gonna be small soon. Like every adult you see
I
tells
think
you.
the answer is just realizing, like, people say things for a reason. I think
Yeah,
the
bro.
answer is, if you don't have the regret, just then, like I don't have any real regrets. So it's like I can't go to that place of like, oh, this is what regret feels like, and this
Right.
is what I don't want to have. It's more like, you just need to understand that you don't want to have any
Yeah,
either.
I'm not
Like,
gonna let that happen.
just listen to what people are saying. And
Yeah.
yeah, man. Well, I appreciate the, you know, the counsel, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you said, men need that. It's something that we all
100%.
need. None of us are perfect. All of us have flawed, and
Mhm.
being a man's not easy, bro. It's hard. You know, there's a lot of things that we go through. There's a lot of things we deal with, and we need the help to carry the burden. So
Yep.
we have God, but we also have our brothers.
Yeah, 100%, man. No, I love it. And that's what we're doing here, bro. That's what this Man of Peace brand's going to be about.
That's hard.
Is about, like, we're going to have the protocols. We have the protocols. So guys can be like, hey, this is within a day. This is how I feed my spirit, feed my mind, feed my body. This is how I get on my path, find my purpose. Here are the values that I should be adhering to. And then we have implementation groups, right? So we meet twice a month, and we just kick it around, just like we're kicking it around right now, to be like, this was wild. What do you think about this? Or, this is what I'm struggling with, or here's something that I feel like I have a really good grip on. Let me share it, And so,
Yeah.
and then we just do life together, man. We win together. We keep crushing it together. So, man,
Yeah. I love it.
this has
Awesome.
been good, brother. Any final thoughts to anyone out there who's just kind of like, you know what? Like, I want to get on my purpose, like, what would you say just to wrap this up? Final thoughts from your heart about what we've talked about here.
Yeah, we talked about a lot.
Yeah, all right.
I'll say this. I think the number one thing that has allowed me to lead the life that I do, the number one thing I think that has the biggest lesson that I've learned, I would say, is the importance of actually truly loving yourself. I know that sounds cliche, but it's the truth. Like, I genuinely am happy with the person I am. I'm happy with what I've been able to do. I'm not satisfied by any means. I'm always hungry, right? But like, I'm happy with the person that I am. I'm confident in my skills. I'm confident in my abilities, and I don't compare myself to other people. And like, I don't care, the people that are not on, my team. I don't allow that to affect me at all. I mean, you have to have thick skin with social media. You know this. Everybody knows this. That has
God bless everybody. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like it truly is like I don't care what other people think. I had this conversation with one of my family members the other day, actually, that we never see eye to eye on anything. And I straight up told him, I was like, I don't care what your opinion of me is. And that doesn't mean that I don't care about you. That doesn't mean that I don't care about you as a person. It just means that your negative opinion about me and what I'm doing literally doesn't affect me at all. Like, not at all. I just don't care. And that has been extremely powerful because, to be quite frank, and this is one of the things I was talking about when I was saying, like, it's a blessing to not be in the industry I was in before. Dude, I spent 10 years of my life trying to prove myself to other people. I spent 10 years of my life feeling like I had to be something that other people wanted me to be, or that I had to continually prove that I was worth something to other people who, quite frankly, I didn't. Like, I didn't have anything to prove to anybody except for myself. And so the opinions that matter the most, and I guess this is what I'll say, the only opinions that should ever matter to you are the opinions of yourself. Like, what do you believe about yourself?
Yeah.
Is your family, your significant other, your kids, and God. And God actually comes first. So it's God, you, your family. Those are the only opinions that should ever matter, ever for your entire life.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll even have to forfeit your family because they'll be wrong, and you'll have to be like, this is what God wants me to do. You can't watch that and put some clothes on. I'm like, be mad. No, but as long as I'm,
Yeah, that's right. And that's why I said God is first, and that's why you come second, right? And it's like, if you can do that, man, so much of this world and so many people in this world have more issues than, like, they have so many problems in their life simply because it comes from the fact that they don't love themselves and they don't value who they are, and they don't understand their value as a child of God, and they don't have that centered foundation. And they allow people's opinions, and they allow the things that people say about them and all these other things to affect what they do and how they act and how they move and how they see the world, right? They see the world from all the other opinions of people. Oh, maybe I'm not this good. Maybe I'm not capable. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Who am I to think that I could have this? All these different ideas and opinions that other people have of them, they never get to the point where they need, or where they should, and they never truly, like, answer that call that we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
Because they allow themselves to believe that it's not possible for them, or they allow these other opinions to cloud their own belief and faith in themselves and in the fact that God will provide a way. And that's what I would say is my last.
100%. No, that's good, dude. That's good. And that the last few things you said, like taking a leap, getting off that horizontal axis of what makes sense and getting on that vertical and being like, you know what, I am going to quit this job, or I am going to do this thing that's like this, that I feel God wants me to do. It's understanding whose you are, what God says about you, and who He is. And when you get that, like, the whole thing changes, bro.
And I'm going to tell you right now, and it also goes back, like, you're not going to jump off that horizontal.
Yeah.
If you put more value on what other people think than what you think and what God thinks.
And that's exactly, you're done.
For the rest of your life.
100%. He's got to find someone else. They are now your gods. So, dude, I love it, man. Ian, this has been awesome, bro.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
We're going to do more of these. You guys are going to see me rocking some more Patriot gear. We got some stuff. Where can they find out more about you, the brand, all that stuff?
Yeah, my social media is the biggest. Instagram is where I'm the most vocal and active. It's iWendtster, so it's IWENDTSTER.
We'll put it up
and then my Twitter, the Twitter thing is like, I'm starting to build it up, but we're getting more active on there. So definitely follow me on Twitter too. And then my business, the Official Patriot Gear Instagram, officialpatriotgear.com is where you can grab some gear. And everything's actually 25% off right now. So
let's go.
great time to get in. But yeah, man, that's how you find me. And And I'm the type of person too where reach out. I don't have anybody managing my accounts. Like, I will respond. I will respond to your comments on my posts. If I see your DM, I will respond to the DM. Like, I want to interact with my people. I want to hear from you. And so if you heard this and something came from it and you want to share that with me, please do. So
heck yeah. What an honor, man. Good stuff, dude. Thank you for this time, attention, and we're looking forward to doing more good stuff with you this year. All right, y'all. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Let's go. Boom.
Boom. What's up, guys? So check it out. Podcast, all the free content, all the things are supported by Patreon. So if you're listening to any of these episodes and it's a blessing to you, it's helping you in life, we now have our Patreon platform up. It's also a really cool place where like I consolidate all my content, and so you actually get to see everything because the algorithms, for whatever reason, don't always show you everything. But anyways, if you want to support the podcast, this stuff's not free. Getting these videos edited, published, paying people to do all this stuff, syndication strategy, putting it all out, it ain't free. But it's an honor to do so, and I believe it's my work and it's what God wants me to do. So if you guys want to join forces and help support that work, I want to invite you to check in the show notes, join us on Patreon. The whole give a cup of coffee. For what you pay for a cup of coffee, you can really help me out quite a bit actually getting this thing going, keeping this thing going. All right. God bless. Semper Fi. Thank you for being here. We love you guys.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God.